Hello, everyone. It's Frank, and we're ready to tackle the Oregon CDL air brake test. What do air tanks, reservoirs, in an air brake system do? They hold enough air to allow the brakes to be used several times, even if the compressor stops working. These tanks are essential for providing a reserve of air pressure. So, what's next? Why should you drain the air tanks daily or as needed? To remove water and oil that collects in the tanks, which can cause brake failure. Moisture can freeze in cold weather or corrode components. Next on our list, what is the purpose of an alcohol evaporator in an air brake system? To put alcohol into the air system to reduce the risk of ice forming in cold weather. The alcohol helps to prevent moisture from freezing in the air lines and valves. Okay, what's after this? If your vehicle has an alcohol evaporator, how often should you check the alcohol level? Daily during cold weather. Regular checks ensure the system can effectively prevent ice formation. Let's move on. What are the three distinct braking systems that a typical air brake system consists of? Service brake, parking brake, and emergency brake. These three systems work together to ensure complete braking capability. What about this next one? What does the service brake system do? Applies and releases the brakes when the driver uses the brake pedal. This is your primary braking system during normal driving. On to the next question. What are spring brakes primarily used for? Emergency brakes and parking brakes. Spring brakes are held in the off position by air pressure. When air pressure is lost, they engage. Moving forward, when do spring brakes come on automatically? When the air pressure drops to a critically low level, usually between 20 to 45 psi. This is a safety feature to stop the vehicle if air pressure becomes dangerously low. Let's consider the next one. What is the low air pressure warning signal designed to do? Warn the driver when the air pressure falls below 60 psi or about half of the governor cutout pressure. This alarm indicates a serious problem that requires immediate attention. And the next point, how do you test the low air pressure warning signal? Fan off the air pressure by pressing and releasing the brake pedal until the warning comes on. This confirms the warning system is functional. What's next? What is brake lag distance in an air brake system? The distance the vehicle travels from the time the driver applies the brake until the air pressure reaches the brake chambers. There's a slight delay from pedal press to brake engagement. Moving on to this. What is the typical brake lag time in an air brake system? About a half to 1 second. This small delay adds to your total stopping distance. All right, let's see. What is brake fade? The loss of braking power due to excessive heat caused by overuse of the service brakes. Brake fade is a serious condition that can lead to total brake failure. What's after this? How can you avoid brake fade on a long downgrade? Use a lower gear and apply the brakes intermittently, snubbing to control speed. This allows the brakes to cool between applications. Next question. What does it mean if your air pressure drops rapidly during a static air loss test? There is a leak in the air brake system. A rapid drop indicates a significant leak that needs to be repaired. Let's get to this one. What is the maximum allowable air loss rate for a straight truck or bus with the engine off and brakes applied? Static test. No more than 3 psi in 1 minute. This is the standard for acceptable air loss in a single unit vehicle. Okay, what's next? What is the maximum allowable air loss rate for a combination vehicle with the engine off and brakes applied? Static test? No more than 4 psi in 1 minute. Combination vehicles have more air lines and connections, allowing for a slightly higher acceptable loss rate. Moving on. How do you test the service brakes during a pre-trip inspection? Pump the brake pedal and hold for 5 seconds. Pedal should not move. Check for proper braking action while driving forward slowly. This tests for leaks and proper operation. So what's next? What is the purpose of the S-cam in an S-cam air brake system? It forces the brake shoes against the inside of the brake drum. The S-cam rotates to push the brake shoes outwards. Next on our list, what is a push rod and how does it relate to slack adjusters? The rod that extends from the brake chamber and pushes the slack adjuster to apply the brakes. The push rod's movement applies force through the slack adjuster to the S-cam. Okay, what's after this? How much free play should there be in manual slack adjusters when pulled by hand? No more than 1 inch. Excessive free play indicates the brakes are out of adjustment and need attention. Let's move on. What is the best way to check that your manual slack adjusters are properly adjusted? Park on level ground, chalk wheels, release parking brake, and pull on each slack adjuster. This allows you to accurately measure the free play. What about this next one? What is a supply pressure gauge used for? To show how much air pressure is in the air tanks. This gauge tells you the overall air pressure available in your system. On to the next question. What is an application pressure gauge used for? To show how much air pressure you are applying to the brakes. This gauge helps you monitor your braking effort. Moving forward, what type of brakes use parts of the service and parking brake systems to stop the vehicle in a brake system failure? Emergency brakes. The emergency brake system typically uses the spring brakes. Let's consider the next one. Why is it dangerous to fan the brakes on and off repeatedly during long downgrades? It causes air pressure to drop, potentially leading to brake failure. Fanning wastes air and can quickly deplete your air supply. And the next point, what is the preferred braking method for an emergency stop with ABS? Brake normally, applying steady pressure. Let the ABS system do its job by keeping your foot firmly on the pedal. What's next? If your vehicle has ABS, but the ABS light comes on while driving, what should you do? Drive normally, but get the system serviced soon. You still have regular brakes. The ABS light indicates a fault with the ABS system, but your regular air brakes should still function. Moving on to this. What is the effect of oil and water in the air tanks if they are not drained? They can freeze in cold weather and cause brake failure or corrode brake parts. Draining the tanks is crucial for system longevity and safety. All right, let's see. What is the proper procedure for testing the parking brake in an air brake system? With the air pressure built up, put the vehicle in a low gear and gently pull against the parking brake. The vehicle should not move, indicating the parking brake is holding. What's after this? When checking the brake drums or discs, what should you look for? Cracks, dents, or holes. Also ensure brake linings are not worn dangerously thin. Damage to drums, discs, or worn linings reduce braking effectiveness. Next question. What happens if the brake pedal is pushed too hard with air brakes? The wheels can lock up, leading to a skid. Proper brake application is crucial to avoid skidding and maintain control. Let's get to this one. What is the maximum acceptable air pressure buildup time from 85 to 100 psi in a dual air brake system within 45 seconds? A longer buildup time indicates a problem with the compressor or system leaks. Okay, what's next? What are the two types of air brake systems commonly found on commercial vehicles? S-cam brakes and disc brakes. Both use air pressure, but differ in how they apply the braking force. Moving on. What does the brake pedal foot valve do in an air brake system? Controls the air pressure applied to the service brakes. The more you press the pedal, the more air pressure is sent to the brakes. So what's next? What should you do before performing an air brake system check on a vehicle with air brakes? Chalk the wheels. Chalking ensures the vehicle doesn't move unexpectedly during the inspection. Next on our list, what is the main component that turns air pressure into mechanical force to apply the brakes? The brake chamber. Air pressure pushes a diaphragm in the brake chamber, which then applies the brakes. Okay, what's after this? What is the tractor protection valve designed to do on a combination vehicle? To protect the tractor's air supply if the trailer breaks away or develops a serious leak. It prevents the tractor from losing all its air pressure. Let's move on. How do you test the tractor protection valve and emergency brakes during a pre-trip inspection? Charge the trailer air tank, then pull out the red trailer air supply, parking brake knob. Air should escape from the trailer service line. This confirms the valve's ability to isolate the tractor's air. What about this next one? What causes the pop out of the parking brake knob in an air brake system? Loss of air pressure. This happens automatically when the air pressure drops to the spring brake activation level. On to the next question. If you hear a continuous air leak coming from your air brake system, what should you do? Stop the vehicle as soon as safely possible and have the leak repaired. Air leaks can quickly lead to complete brake failure. Moving forward, what is the primary cause of air brake system failure? Lack of proper maintenance and air tank draining. Regular maintenance prevents the issues that lead to failure. Let's consider the next one. What type of air brake system has a separate air tank and lines for the front and rear brakes? Dual air brake system. This provides a safety backup if one system fails. And the next point, how can you check if the air compressor is working properly? By checking the air pressure gauges to ensure air builds to cut out pressure. Monitor the gauges during your pre-trip inspection. What's next? What is the proper technique for an emergency stop with a vehicle equipped with air brakes without ABS? Controlled braking or stab braking to keep the vehicle in a straight line. The goal is to stop quickly without losing control by locking the wheels. Moving on to this. What is the function of the foot valve or treadle valve in the air brake system? It controls the amount of air pressure sent to the brake chambers when the driver presses the brake pedal. This valve directly controls your braking power. All right, let's see. When driving a vehicle with air brakes, what is an important warning sign of potential brake problems? A spongy brake pedal feel. A spongy pedal could indicate air in the system or a serious leak. That concludes our in-depth study guide for the Oregon CDL air brake test. Mastering this information is essential for your safety and for passing your exam. Keep practicing and reviewing, and you'll be well prepared.